Hello Doctor Who fans, and welcome to my next Doctor Who review, where today I review The Massacre, starring William Hartnell as the first Doctor and Peter Purves as Stephen Taylor. So, sorry if the camera angle's a bit different today. I've had a bit of a problem with my front camera of my phone. It's not working for some reason. Trying to do that, so I'm having to try and record from the other camera, but I can't actually see myself in the video yet, so hopefully that will look okay. Bear with me 1 second. So, the plot of The Massacre is the TARDIS materialises in Paris in the year 1572, and the Doctor decides to visit the famous apothecary Charles Preslin. Stephen, meanwhile, is befriended by a group of Huguenots from the household of the Protestant Admiral de Coligny. Having rescued a young serving girl, Anne, from some pursuing guards, the Huguenots gain their first inkling of a heinous plan being hatched at the command of the Catholic Queen Mother, Catherine de' Medici. That's basically the synopsis of The Massacre. So, The Massacre. Well, this is a very interesting story. So overall, I think this story's fine. It's a passable. I'm going to give it a marginal pass. I don't think it's anything amazing, but it's certainly a decent, intriguing story nonetheless. Look, I mean, after the 12-part epic Dalek's Master Plan, this really is something of a lower key story than that, and it's a shorter story at 4 parts. So yeah, I mean, this is a very intriguing story. I think that the whole idea of this story is very good. The whole, feud between the Catholics and the Protestants, which was an important time in our history, is very good. But what for me makes this story suffer is the fact that the Doctor's barely in it. I know he's in the beginning and then he turns up at the end, and also William Hartnell does portray the Abbot in this story as well. But for me, I just found the story kind of boring, and without the Doctor, it really was just pointless to watch it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was interesting, and obviously it's nice for William Hartnell to have a break, and I understand that he needed to have a break, and he wanted to play something else, but it just meant that there wasn't much variety in this story. We're kind of restricted to having Stephen be the main protagonist of this story, which is fine. I like Stephen. He's very good, and Peter Purves does a great job. But William Hartnell's barely in it. He does play the Abbot really well, and he does also play the Doctor very well when the Doctor's there. But really, it drags the story down for me. And consequently, the story does actually drag. Dogs barking. Yeah, but the story is interesting. I do find it to be a little slow in places. It does have some pacing problems. I do think there's some nice moments between the Doctor and Stephen. Sorry about that. Where was I? Also, some of the secondary characters just aren't that memorable. I mean, obviously the Admiral, Nicholas, and the Queen Mother, they're the only ones that I really remember. The rest of them are just there. I don't think they're that interesting. I think the story looks interesting. I mean, the production design and costumes are brilliant, and definitely a testament to how good how good it looks. But it's just not a story that really grabs me. I just find the story to be kind of slow, and I was told that it was dark by my subscriber Jack McCullough. I mean, I guess to a certain extent it is. I mean, the ending is quite dark. I mean, there are some murders. You know, there's an assassination attempt on the Admiral at one point, and there is obviously a massacre at the very end of the story. But it doesn't really scream too much darkness to me, other than that. Yeah, I mean, the story isn't played for laughs. It is quite a serious story, but I wouldn't go that far to say it was dark. I'm sorry, Jack, I have to disagree with you there. But I like the ending of the story. The ending was good. It was quite a good dramatic scene with the Doctor and Stephen, where Stephen questions him. He's like, "I'm gonna get off this TARDIS, and next time we land, you know, if you're going to continue to disregard the human life." But then the Doctor's like, he doesn't understand. You know, none of them did. He's referring to his previous companions, because Stephen thought the Doctor mercilessly led Anne to her death, which he didn't. He was doing it to prevent the course of history from changing. He was trying to keep history within its timeline, and Stephen doesn't understand that. And there's a moment when the Doctor, well, after Stephen seemingly walks out of the TARDIS, the Doctor sits down and he reminisces about his companions, which is very nice. And he's like, he's just like Susan and Ian and Barbara and Vicky. They never, you know, he doesn't understand. None of them did. And then obviously we're introduced to Dodo, who is the new companion. She's the young girl that kind of just strolls into the TARDIS at the very end for no reason whatsoever. And then Stephen comes back in and says, "Oh, Doctor, we have to go. There's police after us." And he's like, "That's my boy." That's very good. So, yeah, she's joining the Doctor and Stephen for the foreseeable until her exit. So yeah, I mean, I have to say, by this point there's been a lot of companions for Hartnell. He's had like so many by this point. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, I know they're treading water in trying to like see what works out best, and I know they had problems with a couple of other companions in the previous story, like Katerina, who was a kind of a mistake, really, of a character to write for. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna close off this review by scoring the Massacre a 6 out of 10. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting story, but it's not one that I would probably rush back to. But I understand if it has its share of fans and if people like it, because it is intriguing. So that's my review of The Massacre. Stay tuned for my review of The Ark, which is the next Doctor Who story. So until then, thank you guys all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.